Hey, friends, and welcome back to Pastor's Wives Tell All. Today, we're sitting down with Mary Reed. Mary is a pastor's wife who knows what it's like to serve in a place that quite literally raised her. Mary and her husband, Matt, lead at the very church she grew up attending, and together they're raising three energetic boys who keep life anything but boring. Mary has a background in Christian educational ministry and counseling, and she brings a beautiful blend of wisdom, humor, and real life perspective to every conversation. In this episode, we talk about what it's like to do ministry in your home church, the joys, the challenges, and the growth that comes when childhood memories meet present day calling. We asked her about everything from being the kid who grew up here to what advice she'd give another pastor's wife walking a similar road. You're going to love Mary's honesty, her heart for people, and the grace she's learned to carry in a familiar place. So let's get to this important conversation.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
I'm Jenna.
And I'm Stephanie,
And you are listening to Pastor's Wives Tell All.
a podcast by pastors' wives for church leaders and anyone desiring to take a peek inside our glass house.
We are breaking down walls and crushing pastor's wives stereotypes within the church.
We want pastors' wives and other ministry leaders to know that they are not alone in this. Plus, this is basically therapy for the three of us with a whole lot of dance parties.
Hey, Mary, welcome to the podcast. How are you this morning?
Thank you. I'm really good. I'm excited to be here.
And we are excited you're here. And we have already told Mary this, but guys, if you're watching on YouTube, Mary's backyard, it just gets you ready for like the fall. And of course, I know this is going to go out later, but for us, it's fall right now, and her backyard is gorgeous.
I feel so
Yes.
much peace as I'm sitting here
I
staring at you,
know.
Mary. In your
Well,
backyard.
thank you. It's actually, it is raining, so it is not that beautiful, but it feels fall and yeah.
It just must be the screen.
It
because
must be, 'cause it
I do
doesn't
not
look-
see the rain.
I
It
think it
doesn't look
must
like
be
it's raining.
Mary. Mary's just so beautiful.
That's
and her
right.
back, yeah, it's just there.
That's what it is. Yes. Okay, Mary. So to start us off, could you just, for our listeners who don't know who you are, could you share a little bit about yourself, your family, what y'all do, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So we're here in Central Ohio. Our church is called Jersey Church, and it's in an area called New Albany. I grew up going to this church. My dad was technically the music minister there, so I feel like these days our worship pastors their kids are pastors' kids, but back then my dad was the music minister, but I was not a pastor's kid. However, it was part of my experience. I feel like my best friend was our senior pastor's daughter. So kind of grew up like a pastor's kid, but also had a dad who worked full time outside of the church.
It was a both
But-
and situation.
Yeah. It kind of gets in your brain. You're like, I think I was a pastor's kid, but I wasn't. I'm not really sure.
I think
Grew-
you were.
I mean, I think
I
you
know.
were.
I was
Grew
like, it
up
sounds
in
like you
the
were.
church building where we now pastor and serve. And so my husband's name is Matt. We have three boys. Two are in middle school, 8th grade, 6th grade, and we have a 3rd grader.
Wow.
I love them so much. They are very, very active. We are very busy with all of the athletics and school activities and whatever. So we
I
just
feel that.
I feel like we're like a dust bunny rolling around. It's like quiet right now. Our elementary school actually did not have power this morning, and they were going to cancel school. And I was like, oh, okay, going to work with dad. But they reopened at the last minute. So I feel like we just, as you all do, as all moms who have kids, we're just rolling all the time with stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, my husband and I met in college. We went to Taylor University in Indiana. Kind of part of my background in the church is growing up in this conservative Baptist church. Left high school, went to Taylor, which is more of like an interdenominational, a good mix of things. Kind of opened my eyes to kind of a different world. Being a woman, growing up in the church, what that can do. I actually got a degree in ministry.
Okay.
And so Matt and I both graduated with it's called Christian Educational Ministries. And so we were both trained to do a lot in the church to teach and to lead groups and to do curriculum and to study the Bible and all of that. And so we left school. We'd been dating for just a few months. I got a job out in California, actually, as a youth pastor.
Wow. Okay.
Moved out there separately, got an internship in California, but at least we could kind of like date long distance.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a 5-hour drive instead of a 5-hour flight
a plane
situation.
Ride.
So yeah, we dated long distance for that year. And then he really was ready to go to seminary, wanted to be a pastor. And I didn't love youth ministry. So I was like,
oh no,
I am ready to get married to you, I suppose.
We'll
We'll do the seminary thing together. And that was kind of the beginning of our ministry. I feel like it was the seminary years were really hard. I also decided to go to seminary. My husband got a full ride scholarship in the special program at Denver Seminary, which was a huge blessing. Hard to ever walk away from that situation.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
once we got there, they're like, oh, spouses get half tuition. And I was like, half tuition?
I think we could do this.
Wow.
Yeah. So sign me up. Wasn't quite sure what to do with my ministry degree. So I got a counseling degree because the part of the youth ministry that I loved was helping the kids, the students, like any like one-on or small group situation. I didn't love the being in front of people. I didn't love the teaching. I could plan an event, but it's not like life-giving for me to like do all of that.
Yeah.
In certain circumstances.
Counseling. Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay, but over and over and over, you know, it was kind of
for sure.
Anyway, so I got my degree in counseling, and I just have really loved having that skill.
I would
think
need it
that's
to be a
great.
pastor's wife.
Oh,
That is
yeah, for sure. That's
Well,
amazing.
and I wish more of us, you know what I really wish? I wish churches would send us all to go get our counseling degrees.
yeah.
And that be like included in the package, because I think that's so important. It really is. But I really love how you started as a pastor, basically.
Yeah.
Like that straight out of the gate. Then you went to seminary with your husband, and then now you're living this other pastor's wife life. That's just, that's a pretty cool, fun story.
Yeah. So, Mary, you said it already, but you happen to serve alongside your husband in the church you grew up attending, which is so cool, I think.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of other emotions around it too. So let's go back to your childhood, okay?
Yep.
What was it like growing up in the church that you now serve in? And did you ever imagine that you'd be the pastor's wife there one day?
No. Short answer. So the church was a lot smaller. And so I feel like the way it feels now is very different. So when I think about being a kid, I think about crawling under the pews, and I think about all the potluck dinners and you know, all the faces that you can scroll through. A lot of those people since we've been back, have been privileged to be able to attend their funerals and to be able to watch and say, hey, I knew this about this person a long time ago. They have a special place in my heart, even though a lot of years went by and I didn't necessarily know them that well anymore. I think there's a warmness for me, like being in that familiarity. You know, I like see an old hymnal and it like takes me right back to being a kid. And, you know, now we're not doing that anymore. And even like, you know, you just think about being a kid back there, and like we dressed different. We had to like do our hair fancy and the hairspray and, you know, it was the 80s and the 90s, and it was just different. There were different priorities and different ways that people did church. My husband is the senior pastor now, and he's just crossed like the 2-year line in that. So we've been back 10 years. And so he's served 8 years in other roles. And then 2 years ago became the senior pastor.
Wow.
Which I feel like I could tell you a whole hour story about how that went down.
I'm sure.
That's not what we're talking about today. So I think the difference there's just really, I have a lot of warm, fuzzy feelings about it, but I also feel like things have changed a lot, and we were gone for a lot. We were gone, I think I was gone about 12 years from between high school to when we moved back. And I feel like that's enough time for things to kind of shift and to change.
Yeah. Okay. So Mary, you've kind of shared, yes, this is where you grew up, and a lot of the relationships, you know, you didn't have as close of relationships when you got back, because there was a lot of life that was lived in between when you were gone. But some of those relationships that were still there, Was that a good experience? How was that for you? And then, your husband became pastor. That has to be very hard. People have seen Mary all of her life, especially the older generation. They've seen Mary. She was that little girl running around, running under the pews. And now she's like the pastor's wife, and she's here leading, like with her husband, leading the church. How was that? Kind of take us to when that happened. How was that for you? How did people embrace you? Was it good? Was it bad? And for you, like your identity, right? Like your identity, because when you do go back somewhere, it's nostalgic. All those memories come back and you feel like that little girl again, but then you're in a new role. Like, take us to how that was when you first joined the church again. Yes.
I think when I think about that question, I kind of chunk it up in like, how did it feel coming back in my family life? And then how to, like you mentioned, relationships that were there that have changed. If I'm perfectly like honest, deep down, I never wanted to come back. And so I think that I know I'm very happy here. I am completely contented in my faith journey and the way the Lord has led us back here. So I'm just kind of put that caveat in there.
Yeah.
But back in when all the inklings of the Lord moving us to come back, I did not want to come back. And so we were living in Denver. It was for a girl who grew up in Ohio. Like, that's a dream to be in the mountains or before that being back in California. And so it was really hard. But the Lord put very, very clear markers in our life and opened this door for us to come back to Jersey. And in that, I thought and prayed a lot about, like, how am I going to interact with my family? How am I going to interact with a church where my parents have never left? They're still attending there. And that's a really beautiful thing. It's like, there's a really deep, rich family history. There's a lot of, so many stories that you hear about when the church started and things that people are like, these are our memories. And I remember them too. And that's really special. But my husband and I feel like the Lord gave us this opportunity to kind of like see so many other things, to go to schools that were not necessarily a certain denomination, to work in other churches. Husband did pastor in Denver before we left there. And then even during seminary, to attend different situations where we like were able to pull all of that back with us and to say, hey, there's so many like other ways to do things, and it doesn't have to be a right and a wrong, and it doesn't have to be a certain specific way. And so I think it was kind of hard to come back and bring that information at first, and to not feel like, well, this place has not changed at all, even though we knew it had. I don't know if that's really answering your question, but
how were the people for you? How was your family, those relationships, especially them being at the church? And then when the initial, like, you're coming back, and then for the people that did know you, was it an embrace? Did they still look at you like the little girl? Or was it?
Yes, that piece. My family was really happy, I think, to have us back.
Of course.
None of my siblings go to this church anymore. My parents were still there. I think their role had to change a little bit. My dad was on the church council, and with Matt coming on, he had to step off. And both of my parents have, just memorable personalities. They have a presence when they're around. Gotcha. And so I kind of wanted to come back and be, wasn't necessarily like embarrassed or not want to be who I was as a teenager in the church, but I wanted to be like adult Mary and not kid Mary. And so some of the older generation, I mean, if I had $1 for every person who talked about me coming back and they had changed my diaper, or, hey, do you remember John 3:16? Remember in kindergarten when we used to say it all together? Or
you should have just said, no, I don't remember that.
I don't know. It was a bad teacher.
What verse was that?
Yeah, it's just like little things that I had a youth leader who, I mean, this kind of broke my heart, but I had like given a gift, and like when I left, and I didn't remember giving it to him, and I was like, he was like, hey, I still have this in my office, and I was like, I have no memory. I'm like, and it, like kind of broke my heart, because I'm like, you were a big part of my life and my faith journey. There were youth leaders who I you're in high school and that, I know some of you all are in youth ministry, but you get really connected in that time in your life where you're growing and you're developing and your faith is becoming your own. And some of those relationships were very dear to me. And I came home and they were very different. And so I feel like that was very hard.
Sure.
Some of them even maybe were not at the church anymore, but other churches close by. And it's kind of like, do we talk about that? Do we not talk about that? Do we have lunch? Do we not? Even peer relationships. I had a really good friend in the area who I had 2 babies when I moved back. I was like, I needed a young mom friend. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have an instant relationship. And this friend, it was, we tried once and I'm like, it didn't really work. And I'm like, we used to be best friends and like spend the night all the time. And then you come back and it's just enough time goes by sometimes. And I think the older we get, we realize sometimes friends are meant for certain times in life, and that's okay. It's definitely a lesson I've had to learn coming back and being here. But overall, I think it's been a positive transition with the people. Yeah.
I love hearing like that personal aspect of what it felt like. And then those people you grew up with. So, but also take us a little bit deeper into the challenges you might face going back to a church. Like when it comes to the leadership, like were there times where people bucked? Were there like, what are the hard things that you would say are the challenges you faced?
I think in that realm of it, it hasn't been too difficult. I was trying to think of a specific example, and I would say because I'm around, but I'm not really in the staff right now. I don't have necessarily direct influence on what happens. I think my husband has had to answer a lot of questions about current culture, how are we handle our area of where the church is growing. So lots of different people coming in, which I think is really beautiful. To how do we be the church in a situation where this church used to be very rural and very small and very blue collar. It has shifted and it's grown and we love that for it. I think there's been some questions about I'm just keep coming back to like women in ministry. I think like as hot topics in culture come up or things in the denomination or things.
I totally get that. I grew up in a but mine was like extreme conservative Baptist church. Like I'm not talking like Southern Baptist because people hear that and they think, oh, so conservative. And I'm like, no.
No, I thought Southern Baptist was conservative until I met you and you talked about your childhood growing up.
Yep. So like think Duggar style.
Yeah.
If you know the Duggars. Long dresses, like Christian music wasn't even okay unless it was like hymns or like super old stuff. And then now we're in this new culture where a lot of people like me who grew up actually in a very small church, sounds like very similar to yours. Cause I remember crawling under the pews and it being like, okay, cause it was just super small. But then to come from that and then trying to talk to the boomers and above about the changes that are happening right now in our society, and that, yes, God does not change, because that's always like the argument, right? God never changes, so we don't need to change. And I'm like, okay, but there's a difference between changing your spiritual gospel beliefs and changing a little bit with the culture that you're serving in.
I've always heard it said like the message stays the same, but the method has to change with the some of the methods. Not necessarily all of them, but
But and I think that's hard, maybe harder for the older generation. I think it's good for us that are younger as we continue to serve in the church, that when this younger generation does come up under us and they want to make changes, we support that and we back them. As long as the gospel message doesn't change, those methods can change.
Right.
I think it's just, it's good for us in our generation to see that, to know that, and to learn from it. But that's a challenge.
Well, one thing I was going to ask is like the relationships, with the relationships, like with what Stephanie is asking, to separate, the old from the new. Like for you, when you come in now, like you're a pastor's wife, you're not just Mary the little girl. So like, how do you in your everyday life as a pastor's wife, I know that's not like your identity, but since that's what we're talking about right this moment, like, do people respect you in that way? or have you had a hard time trying to like find yourself in that? You know, I'd be interested to kind of see, you know, because all pastors' wives, we all have different roles and we all go where we are gifted. We don't have to play every role. But how is that for you? You know, is it hard to see someone that's older that used to change your diapers, and that can you go counsel them now, you know, like, or bring them a meal, or do they want anything from you because, you know, they see you as someone little? Like, how has that been?
That's another good question. I have not had a hard time in general finding my place. People have been super respectful about not putting an expectation on me. I know that's kind of the classic pastor's wife question. Do you have to play the piano? Do you have to bring a casserole? You know, all of these things. I think because I think it's kind of twofold. One, when we first came back, I did have two little kids, and then shortly after we did have our third. And so I think I was just buried in early mom life, and I didn't really go to much. I just kind of stayed out of it, stayed home, felt like I was, you know, I was dealing with personal things like some postpartum and some family relationship issues. And I was like, you know what? I love the church. I want to do ministry with Matt, but right now we decided together, like, Mary's going to really stay out of this. And so I never really set myself up to have to do anything. The previous church we had been at, I got burnt out. It was a smaller church. I did way too much. I was leading grief groups, and I started a MOPS program and things that, like, by the time we left, I was like, I can't do any more ministry. I'm done. So coming into the new church, I was like, I'm just going to be here. I'm just going to sit in the nursing mom's room, whether I'm nursing my baby or not. I'm like, and so I think I kind of set myself up to, like, not have to do much. If that, and then as the years went by, I started just picking up things that really fed my soul. So leading a small group of girls and jumping in and out of the nursery. I do love helping where I'm needed. I love to fill a hole. I love to step in where, you know, somebody's like calls off. I'm like, put me in there. I'm fine. Like, I can kind of flow with what's needed.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of gone over well. And then we switched into the senior pastor role. I mean, I had to do my own interview. There was a lot of like checking in on me too. And just, I mean, and I asked them questions too. Like, what do you expect from me? What do you want me to do as
that's great.
Matt's wife? And pretty much just set myself up to not have to do anything.
Yeah.
I love that. There's a lot of wisdom in that.
I feel like a lot of women need to hear that you can say that.
Absolutely.
You can definitely do that. And then because my heart is in wanting to help, then I get to kind of have a much easier yes when things come up that I'm like, then I can kind of more joyfully say, yeah, let me help you with that, because I'm not bogged down with 6 other things that I don't really feel are my spot, if that makes sense.
Good.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
Mary, in regards to just some more relationship questions, but since your husband has become senior pastor at the church where you grew up, has that role and your role next to him, has that changed the way that you both relate to those people, the church family that you've known for years?
I think it has. I think for my husband, it was his job. It felt similar to me when he transitioned. It was like, we're still doing the same things. We're just doing them bigger. Still meeting with people, ministering to them. He was preaching about once a month in his other role. And, you know, now he's the full-time Sunday morning guy. And so it felt very similar. That's like kind of when people have asked me that, how has it changed? And I'm like, it feels the same, but just bigger, or fuller, or maybe a little more weightier. I think we try to decide together, like, who do we need to meet with and who can someone else meet with? Is this something that really needs to be done in the senior role, or is this something that like an associate or a youth pastor can take care of? We started out very protected, and
that's good
as a couple. And in that new role, I feel like I've seen too many things go south very quickly. And so we were very careful about how we started in that role shift. And it's gone really well. I think we've enjoyed more of doing ministry together, more of meeting people for lunch or doing visits together, because it's like, Nobody has more weight than another person, but there are certain circumstances where you're like, no, this is something that we really need to step into and care for these people. And this is something that someone else can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's, I
Yeah.
mean, those boundaries, I think y'all put some really healthy boundaries in to
Yeah.
start off, which probably really helped y'all in the long run with
sure.
more, with drama that could have happened, even on accident, like all of that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think that's huge. Hey, friend, we will get right back to our episode, but we want to take a moment and thank our patrons. You guys keep our podcast going.
If you are not a patron and you would like to consider donating to our podcast ministry, we would be so grateful. And we might even do a happy dance.
When you become a patron, you get perks like being the first to hear about special info and retreats. You get bonus episodes, monthly devotionals, lock screens, and more.
Plus, we have added a new $1 tier for those who believe in us and what we're doing, just because you love us.
So head on over to our show notes and click on the Patreon link to learn more. Now let's get back to our episode.
Okay, so Mary, your dad was a music minister. You have alluded that they have like these big personalities and people have grown up knowing they're probably like the grandparents of the church, right? At this point, and have done so much to bless the church and bless the community. Going into the same church that your parents have been in, and now your role is to pastor them, right? And that's it's kind of weird to kind of think of. But how has that been for your husband and you? Like, is it one of those boundaries that you put up and like we let other people kind of handle if there's issues, or do y'all, how does that work?
Yeah. My husband is so good with my parents. He is just a rock star in that area for sure. Just when we moved back from Denver, I feel like that's when he really started like to know them because he'd never really lived near them before.
Yeah.
He and my dad have a really great rapport. They meet together. He seeks wisdom and counsel from him in certain areas.
Yeah.
And he also knows that there are certain areas where he's like, we are not talking about this. So again, another boundary has been put up. And that's kind of topical. Like, this is a good topic to talk about, and this is not a good topic. And not that he would get bad advice. It's just, hey, I'm going to get this from someone else. And I think that's really healthy too. I would say we don't pastor my parents.
Okay.
My dad is very involved at the church still.
Yeah.
And he loves raising up the younger men. He loves meeting with them. He has a couple of really strong discipleship classes that he loves taking them through. And the younger men love meeting with him. He's kind of an old school, like, I don't know, like the old general kind of dad, like, where he's not afraid to just say it like it is.
Say it like it is, yeah.
They love that. I don't think a lot of our younger men coming up have had a very strong leader in their lives. And I think that they kind of are hungry for that. And they kind of talk about it and they like try to get in this class. Another benefit is our church it's really big now. On the scale of like the average church, I would say it's a large church. And so that lends to like there being other staff members to be able to help pastor other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not a direct, I mean, my mom is always like, oh, you're my pastor now. And she'll like write him a note and be like, the Reverend Matt Reed. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't know. But so it's kind of a
cute, though.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean,
that shows like respect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
gotta have those boundaries. And I think it does help that it's a larger church now because I mean, we definitely have had women at our retreats that have a lot of family within one church, and it can produce a lot of drama.
Yeah.
If not, set in place like it sounds like you and Matt did. You have done a really great job of putting up boundaries. And I think that's a good thing for women to hear. That like that's needed when you're going to go into a church with a lot of family.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can have like a boundary with like an open gate where you're like, okay, these are my boundaries, but every now and then maybe there's an exception, or, if it's a family member, like I want to love them and I want to embrace them in that church life, but sometimes it can feel a little awkward.
Yeah.
Because then you're turning around and you're talking about, something that's just a family discussion. And you're like, okay, these worlds are sometimes hard to mix, even though I mix them for other people. I don't know. And I know everybody's family relationship and dynamic in that would have to be very uniquely theirs. And so it's definitely worth taking some time to figure out, if you're in this situation, what works and what doesn't work, and then not be afraid to change it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You gotta hold some boundaries for sure. Okay. So, Mary, my question for you is, if somebody is listening and they're finding themselves in a similar situation where they are serving in a church they grew up in, where the people have seen them as children and that sort of thing, what is something practical? Like, what kind of practical, encouraging advice would you say you would want to give them?
Yes. I love these kind of questions. I wrote a few notes down.
Yes.
Good.
Number one, be confident.
Mhm.
It is so hard to feel like you're still a kid. I mean, I feel like that feeling of like, you come back and you like go home and stay at your parents' house and you like fall back into your teenage habits. It's like,
So true.
if you do, like I did, get to go away and to come back. I mean, I think if you stay, that's a whole nother, I mean, I don't know that world, but this is leaving and coming back. Be confident that the Lord has put you in the right place. If you have followed his steps, if you have listened to his spirit, if you know you're in the right place, then it's not going to go wrong. And so be confident in that. Make a new friend, find a new mentor, and then find a group of younger people to mentor. I feel like if you are giving into the younger women, if you have an older woman speaking into your life, and if you have a peer, everything just feels like it's going to work better. So kind of find those three levels. And I'm like, I love those relationships in my life. And I feel like that's, other than meeting and spending time with the Lord and then time with my husband, like that's where that life comes back in, when you're tired and you're burnout and you're like, I can't do it anymore. And you're like, okay, I'm going to look to these people who still need me. I'm going to look to this person who's gone before me. And then I'm going to like, be like, okay, where's my friend? We got to get in this together.
These friends, are these people, your mentor, the person you're pouring into, your friend, are they all in your church? Some of them outside of the church? Like, where are those people?
Yeah, I would say the younger ones in the church for sure. I think the other two are optional. I think having friends inside the church and outside are both really valuable.
Yeah.
My best friends in the whole world actually are long distance friends, just college friends who have been here and moved away. I do have good friends in the church.
That's
but
good.
like you're my ride and die, you know, when we're old, we're living together. They are definitely like long distance friends. And so that's kind of an individual thing. But I think it's possible to have friends in the church too. And I think it's harder. It's such a personal choice, I feel like. And I know I've heard you all talk about that with other people before. But some of the conversations where I can be the most open and honest are definitely not church friends.
Yeah, for sure.
And then an older woman, I feel like I'm actually really struggling with that right now, to find the right person. I have a few people I go to when I have a specific thing, but we don't have a regular meeting relationship right now. So it's kind of been on my heart to figure that out. And I do have a counselor that I love to see regularly. I'm like, we'll never give that up. And she is, a life stage ahead of me. And I love that as well, especially as parenting and marriage and all of the things. So
it's good.
Counseling's great. I love it.
Use a very intentional, which is really like, I feel like you've got these steps and you're like, okay, I'm going to, like,
I have one other
things
thing
go.
Kind of funny. I don't know. Somebody might need to hear this out there. Okay. So you have to learn 2 walking speeds. So if you're on a Sunday and you're like, I got to get from the children's wing to the service, you just walk really fast and that's your walking speed. You're like, hello, good morning. Like you got your walking speed on. And then if you're having a Sunday where you're like, I want to spend time with people, I have an extra hour today, you have your slower walking speed. And you're like, this is the day where I'm going to engage with people. I'm going to ask that question I've been wanting to ask. I'm going to take time for this person who always seems like they want to meet with me or talk to me, but I have these 10 minutes today. And you go and find them and you're like, okay. So I'm like, you gotta
That's good.
I don't know when it dawned on me one time. I was like, man, some days I have this speed and some days I have this speed. And I think
love that.
That's really good.
I think that's wise.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I thought that's a really good piece of
I
practical
was
advice.
sitting there thinking like I could instill that into my Sunday. Like
I
be more
actually
intentional.
feel like I do
I
that
was like,
now.
I feel like I well,
because
you ain't got no fast walking speed. You walking slowly and changing people's lives.
like if you're
Everywhere
like,
she goes.
Dude, that's so true. So true.
I don't
But, like,
care where she is. She's somehow saving someone's life.
Nope. When Mary said walking from one thing to the other, I'm usually walking really fast to go do something
Well, 'cause
else.
you're on
but
a
I'll be like,
mission.
yeah, but I was
You're
like,
like-
yep, there are different speeds because I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I love you. Okay, bye. Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, well, someone's waiting on you to like
Yeah.
get on the front row for something. You got to
Right.
get there. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's very
I
true.
get it. Yep.
Okay, Mary. Well,
So
this
good.
has been such an amazing conversation, but we are not done yet. We have 3 questions, which you know about, that we ask everybody who we interview. So are you ready for these 3 rapid fire questions?
I am.
Okay. Stephanie, make your
Oh,
noise.
sorry.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
We haven't done that in a while, so I figured I'd give you the opportunity.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, Mary. Question number 1. If you could go back and give your pre-pastor's wife self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Yes. I could go back. I would tell myself that my personality does not need to match my pastor husband's personality. We're very opposite in the sense of how we like to serve and how the Lord has gifted us. But in that, I also think that I said this a little bit before, but you just really need to trust that God has put you in your place in a perfectly way, and He will equip you for all of the things He has laid out for you. And so if your husband is the pastor, he most likely likes to be in front of people, be the center of attention. He likes to talk. And if you're not that way, it's okay. There's still plenty of space for you to do ministry.
Ooh,
That's so funny.
I was going to say, nobody said that before.
No,
That's a good one.
That's the first one. Good job, Mary.
But also, my husband and I are opposite in that. Well, I will say my husband's very good at like putting off extroverted energy when he needs to, but he is very much more introverted. Like it sucks the life out of him being around people, which I mean, he still loves to do it and he feels called to it. But like, I'm the one that's like, and I'm talking to everybody and like, I don't know, like at church on Sunday, sitting with the old ladies, I'm like, oh, hi, Miss Becky. And like giving her a hug. Like, I don't know. I'm that person. And then my husband is more of the like more chill, more, like he is intentional with his words at church. Like when someone comes and speaks to him and he is friendly, but like, it is interesting. Like, but I think we do well together.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. We've always worked well together. And I think it is that little bit of opposite.
Jesus knows who He's putting together.
That's
That's
right.
for sure. Okay, Mary, what do you do for fun, either by yourself or with your spouse, to get your mind off of all ministry things?
Yeah.
If I'm by myself, I love long walks, like an hour to,
Nice.
just to regulate myself. I love a hot bath.
Yeah, me too, girl.
Yes. I love reading fiction. I love stories. So like you give me a good story, I don't really care what category it is. I want to have to figure it out. If I'm with my husband, we've just started spending our Fridays together, and it has been really life-changing for our marriage. So people always are like, have a date day, go a date, and I'm like, life, right? And he just finished his doctorate, which is kind of a big deal, at the end of the spring. And so we kind of had given up our Fridays for him to do school. And I was like, we are blocking Fridays this fall. I don't care. Doesn't have to be like a date. We don't have to do anything fancy, but I'm like, if a kid forgets their school laptop, we're taking it together. We are spending Fridays together. Like
I love that.
we're stuck hip to hip, and
That's
it's
so
been really
intentional.
fun. We've started laughing, and things just come up. You're like, oh, let's do this, or let's do that, or a house project becomes fun because you're not trying to do it on your own. And
Yeah, that's good.
yeah,
I
so
get it
just-
right
I
there.
love that.
we love to
Okay.
compete. We just
Oh, I feel that.
Yeah.
Amen.
Love it. Love it. Okay.
Yes,
Final question. It's a heavy one. It's a big one.
I know.
If you could tell the church congregation one thing, without reservation and have them really listen and respond, what would you say?
I would say read your Bible and know the truth. And if you don't know how to do that, you need to ask someone to teach you.
That's good.
That is
I
good.
think we hear that a lot. Read your Bible. Read your Bible. I think I recognize a privilege that I have been given in order to go to school, to learn to read my Bible. And I wish people were more brave to say, hey, I don't know how to do that. Will you teach me?
Yeah.
Will you help me? Will you show me? So
That's good.
Yeah, instead of just relying on everybody else to teach them.
To ask.
That's good.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, Mary, thank you so much for just being on this podcast today. I think that there's a lot of women that have family in churches. I'm one of those, and or come into the situation that this is really going to just be life-giving for. So thank you. And I'm going to remember the speeds as I'm walking through the church now.
Yes.
I'll be like, Mary, what would Mary say about that speed?
a high-speed day or a low-speed day.
I've been giggling to myself going, that's what Mary said. So, but thank you, Mary, so much. We so appreciate it. And guys,
Until next time.
until next time. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, friends, if you have enjoyed this episode as much as we have, please help us spread the word on Facebook and Instagram.
If you didn't know yet, Instagram is where all the fun is at. From dance reels on Wednesdays to spiritual encouragement and laugh out loud posts in between, there is something for everyone.
And last but certainly not least, if you could take a moment right now to stop what you're doing and give us a rating and review, even subscribe to our podcast, this seriously helps other people find us who wouldn't be able to otherwise. Thank you so much for your love and support. We hope you'll tune in next week.